Tell me it's done while I asked it. Okay, that's now streaming.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of Woodley Town Council held tonight on the 24th of June 2025. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded, with recordings streamed live and stored on the Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to having your image and audio recorded for this purpose. Thank you. If you do not wish for your image and audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting the fire drill tonight, so if you hear the fire alarm, please head out of the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point by the Oakwood Centre at the front of Woodford Park. Prior to meetings of full council, we hold the town forum, which is an opportunity for members of the public to pose any questions they may have to the council. This is limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Do any members of the public in attendance have a question they wish to ask? Michael? No? Then, in the absence of any questions from members of the public, we will commence with the agenda. Prior to the formal agenda items tonight, we were due to welcome Dexter Levick, the Economic Development Officer at Wokingham Borough Council, but unfortunately he has been in contact today and is ill, so unfortunately he can't be with us tonight. Right, the first item on the agenda is apologies. Matthew, have we received any apologies for absence tonight?
Yes, we have. We've received apologies from councillors Anderson, Chadwick, Gilder, Kennedy, Horskins, Nagra and Singh. Councillor Horskins is attending virtually tonight. Can I just say, just because I know there are some people here that haven't used these microphones yet, we will have our new microphones tonight. If you haven't used them, there's one between two for some of you. Some will have your own. It's touch sensitive on the flashing red microphone symbol. You just need to touch your finger on it. You don't need to push it. Just touch it when you speak, and when you finish speaking, turn it off. Okay.
Thank you. Second item on the agenda is declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest from councillors regarding any items on tonight's agenda? No, thank you. Well, we'll move on to item 3, which is to receive the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 6th of May 2025. The minutes were included with this agenda and can be seen on page 5. Are there any questions or comments regarding these? No? But assuming we are happy with these, can we please move to a vote on accepting these minutes as a true and correct record? Can all those in favour please raise their hands?
(16-4).
All those against?
None of those against.
Any abstentions?
One abstention.
Thank you. The minutes have been duly approved as a true and correct record, and I will sign these after the meeting. Next item on are the actions and follow-ups, which are provided at Appendix 4 on page 17 of the agenda. Does anyone have any questions or comments about these? June.
Yes, what I'm interested in is 6th of May, 8.1. And you remember at the last meeting, last full council, we agreed Standing Orders Committee will have a look at defining the roles of leader and chairman and all that sort of stuff. I've been doing a little bit of homework and I've just got a question. I've been looking at the Good Councillor Guide, which we get updated with every year and was referred to in our induction training. And I was just interested in what the status of that is. So are we as a council sort of signed up for everything that's in there, or is it advisory or what? Just wanted to know.
Yeah, so it's advisory. I think it is a useful tool for councillors. I would encourage councillors to look at that, and I can circulate that actually if that's helpful for them, because you might not have seen it for some time. But yes, it's a guide.
Do you have any other questions? Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 10.15, to do with the SULV Joint Subcommittee. It said that you've contacted, have you had any feedback?
There is a meeting, I think it's on the 7th of July, for them to discuss it. So I did get a response from earlier. Thank you.
Councillor Smith.
Item 13, which is, I just want a quick progress on how we're getting along with the lease and everything for Weeble Park.
As reported to Strategy and Resources, I have received a heads of terms document from Reading Borough Council and awaiting the actual terms of the lease document itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions at all? Thank you. Then we'll move on to item 5, which is the finance update. It's simply to note the finance update, which is that the council's appropriate authorised bank signatories have now checked and signed the council's bank reconciliations up to and including the 31st of May. I'm sorry. Item 6 on the agenda is to receive the minutes of the committee meetings which have taken place since our last full council meeting. Can I please ask Councillor Soane, as chairman of the Planning and Community Committee, to present the minutes of that committee meeting which took place on the 20th of May 25, as set out on page 19 of the agenda.
Yes, thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to present the Planning and Community Committee meetings as said on Tuesday the 20th of May 25, from pages 19 to pages 21 on your agenda. Sorry. I'll say that all again, shall I? It gives me pleasure to present the minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on the Tuesday 20th of May 2025 here on 7:45 on pages 19 to pages 25.
Do any councillors have any questions regarding these minutes? Councillor Taylor.
It's not a question, but I just want to flag with all the members, we had the bulk newsletter at that meeting, and it mentioned that we're only going to get free training courses up till next April. So just to say to everybody, if there's anything you fancy doing, get in now while we still don't have to pay for it.
Do we have any other questions? No? Then assuming we are happy with these minutes are noted. Can I now please ask Councillor Smith, as chairman of the Leisure and Services Committee, to present the minutes of the meeting that took place on the 3rd of June 2025, as set out on page 27 of the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to present the minutes of the Leisure Services Committee held on Tuesday, the 3rd of June, here at 8 p.m, pages 27 through to 29. If any councillor has any questions. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions regarding these minutes? Councillor Taylor.
I really need to stop reading these minutes, don't I? Just what I wanted to ask about was item 9 on allotments. And I'm really pleased to see that we are going to, we're going back to the allotments holders and doing more consultation with them about various stuff at the allotments. I must say I went on the tour and really grateful for seeing what's going on there. It's a really sort of admirable bunch of people. But referring to the report LS 1725 about, there's a section on it about deposits, and understand from that there's been some discussion with the allotment holders. I would just be grateful if, when this reverts to leisure services, if the officers could knock together a little paper for us, just explaining the kind of background to this. I mean, the things that I'm kind of particularly interested in is, well, whether it's the effectiveness of what we're proposing, and whether we've got any evidence from elsewhere about, you know, how it works. Also about the size and frequency of the problem that we're having there with people abandoning plots in bad order, whether there are any other options, what we put in place to measure the effectiveness of it. And so there's the effectiveness. And the other thing, obviously, I'm interested in, as are, I think everybody who's talked about this, is the fairness of it. And I think we just need to be understanding the balance between new and existing holders, whether it is creating barriers for people actually taking up allotments, and also us as councillors, which obviously the allotment holders don't need to worry about, but as councillors, we also need to be sure that we're being fair to all the other council taxpayers in Woodley who aren't allotment owners. So it's just really just to have the working behind it so that we can do the governance-y bit properly.
Thank you, June, for that comment. I think that's high on our priority, actually, to make sure that whatever we consider is fair, especially to make sure that it's aligned with how we do all the other charging that we do for the services that we provide in Woodley, especially, you know, to people that are unemployed, or, for example, on benefits or eco relief, or indeed, you know, if they're elderly and so forth. So we do offer a number of schemes on that anyway. So I think, you know, our approach has been to be fair about it. I think also we are looking, a survey will be launched amongst allotment holders to see what their view is. We had some anecdotal evidence, I think, from the allotment holders committee, who seemed not that fussed about it. But to be honest with you, I think we need to take a more wider breach of what people think about that. In terms of the issues that we're having, we have had some issues, and of course we will, you know, present that in our summary. And I think, you know, it's becoming, I think, you know, 10, 15 years ago when we had like 50 or 60 allotments, it was fine. Now we got 350 or whatever it is. We're probably one of the biggest allotment sites in the southeast of England. And I hesitate to say that, but it's, you know, when I've looked around at other comparisons, you know, we are one of the biggest allotment sites. So I think we do have to take a little bit more of a lead on it. But as you say, I think we have to be fair about it as well. So that's top of my mind. And yeah, we will provide a summary. Thanks very much for the question, June.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, June? Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Baker.
Thank you. Really good questions, June. Might I suggest, if you're available, that you actually attend the next leisure services meeting? Good, because I'm sure the chairman will allow you to participate as well.
I like to.
Are there any further questions on these minutes? No. Then, assuming we are happy with these minutes also are noted. Strategy and resources. Can I please ask Councillor Baker, as chairman of the committee, to present the minutes of the Strategy and Resources Committee meeting, which took place on the 10th of June 25, as set out on page 31 of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm deliriously happy to present these minutes. We had a very good but brief meeting and you can see the results 31 to 34. So there were no decisions made in that sense that need to come here, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do any councillors have any questions regarding these minutes? No, then assuming we are happy with these minutes are noted. Planning and Community Committee, can I now ask Councillor Soane as chairman of the committee to present the minutes of the meeting that took place on the 17th of June 25, as set out on page 35 of the agenda.
Thank you very much. It gives me pleasure to present those minutes of the Planning and Community Committee. They are on pages 35 to pages 39. Happy to take any questions.
Do any councillors have any questions on those minutes? No, thank you. Assuming we're happy with these minutes also are noted. Item 7 on the agenda is from members to approve the financial statements and the annual governance and accountability return for 24-25. This is set out in the separate appendix circulated with the agenda. The first item, item A, is to approve the financial statements for 24-25 as set out on pages 1 to 10 of the appendix document. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair.
Kevin, can you please run through these?
Of course, thank you. Firstly, I'd just like to introduce to you, for any members who haven't met him, Darren Coe, who's our new responsible financial officer and finance manager. Welcome. And also to say that if any of you do have questions and you want to come in and talk to Darren about things, please do come on in. That goes for the rest of us as well. So just moving on to the financial statements. So 7A is to approve the financial statements, which are on pages 1 to 10 of the appendix. You have an amended appendix there on the table, and I'll explain why that is in a moment. The financial statements are for information and provide some context to the accounting statements that are set out in the annual governance and accountability return, which we'll come to shortly. Members are asked to note the paragraph at the bottom of page 2 of the appendix, which is titled Commentary on Financial Outturn for the Year. So the text there has been amended in the appendix. Sorry. The main point there being that the council originally budgeted to fund its activities using £116,000 of the general reserve, and at year end that figure was £514 funded from the general reserve. That equates to an unallocated general reserve figure at year end of the £788,544, which is also referenced in the internal auditor's report. Page 3, also you'll see some changes highlighted relating to grants expenditure. And that's just been combined into a single line there for clarity to make it a little clearer. Likewise, the presentation on page 6 under grants to local organisations has been updated to show more clearly the council's grant expenditure, as it was a little confusing relating to last year's figures and the allocation made in year to an earmarked reserve in respect of youth grants. Also references to section 137 power has also been removed, as grants are no longer issued under that power. And the SIL information has just been separated again, just for presentational clarity there. Page 8, also section 14 there has been added just to clarify the council's exercising of the general power of competence in relation to grants payments, which it's had since June 2023. I don't know if there are any questions on the financial statements.
No. Then Can we please move to a vote to approve the financial statements for 24/5, please? Can I please have a proposer and a seconder? Alison Swaddle proposed, Keith Bacon second.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. Can all those in favour please raise their hands?
For.
Anyone against?
None.
Anyone abstaining?
No.
In that case, I can confirm that the financial statements for 24/25 are approved. 7B. Councillor Bacon.
Can I compliment the numbers and the layout here? What I think also would be useful that we all get distributed. Page 9, when you're talking about 9 and 10, the EMR, it would be useful, I think, just to have on record what roughly, so a small paragraph of what that EMR's for. So some of them are obvious, like OC, obviously that's Oakwood Centre Buildings and Facilities, but some of them might not be. So if we could have that, and then it's just a once and for all lodged for everybody, I'm sure they will all find that quite useful. Yeah. And if you use any abbreviations, please make sure it's explained. EMR we know. I thought there was like something here, AV, okay, audiovisual. Do we all know that? So please just, can we get into a habit? If you use an abbreviation, that it is explained where it is. So, thank you.
Thank you. Right, 7B. The second item, item B, is to receive and note the annual internal audit report for 24/25, set out in the appendix document on page 13 of that appendix.
Just to say, I'm just aware that having replaced the financial statements document, which was the first 10 pages, I have not provided on hard copy here tonight the AGAR stuff. I do have copies in the office, so if you want to adjourn, I can quickly go and run and grab them. If anyone wants paper copies. Yes, yeah, no, it's fine. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be quick.
Time for a sip of water.
We missed 2 minutes. I can't remember what it was. Right. I have been. Yeah. It was a storm.
It hasn't got a legal statement. Right, we'll start this one again, okay? Second item B is to receive and note the annual internal audit report for 24/25, set out in the appendix document on page 13. Kevin, can you please run through it for us?
Yes, thank you. So the internal auditor's report on page 13 forms part of the AGAR submission to the external auditor. And you can see there that all control objectives are stated as yes. So the internal auditor is satisfied that all of those things are in place. Just to note as well, the full auditor's report, which did go to Strategy and Resources, you can see from page 19 onwards. And that report shows the finding of the previous interim audits and along with the recommendations and comments against those recommendations. There are some recommendations there with no comments noted. Those were reported to Strategy and Resources as well. So those are those on page 37. So just to note that they have also been actioned and were reported back to Strategy and Resources.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions regarding the annual internal audit report? No, assuming there are no more queries, we will note the internal audit report for 24/5 and move on. Item C is to approve the annual governance statement for 24/25 as set out on page 14 of the appendix document, with supporting information provided on pages 17 to 37. We, the members of Woodley Town Council, have a responsibility for ensuring there is a sound system of internal control, including arrangements for the preparation of the accounting statements. It is our responsibility to consider each of the statements set out on page 14 of the appendix individually and to vote as to whether, to the best of your knowledge and belief, you agree or disagree with each statement. I will read each statement and we must vote on each one individually. Statement 1, we have put in place arrangements for the effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
Um, 17 agree.
All those who disagree, please raise their hands.
None.
And any abstentions?
No abstentions.
In that case, I can confirm that statement 1 has been approved. Statement 2, we maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
17 for.
Against?
None against.
No abstentions?
No abstentions.
In that case, I can confirm that statement 2 has been approved. Statement 3, we took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations, and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances. Can all those who agreed with this statement please raise your hands?
17 again.
17. Against?
None.
Abstentions?
None.
No. In that case, I confirm that statement 3 has been approved. Statement 4, we provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations. For this statement, as indicated in the annual internal audit report on page 13, and as explained in the supporting information on page 17, the Council should respond no to the assertion, as the Council did not do this by virtue of the fact that the date stated on the notice of public rights was incorrect. Kevin, do you want to provide more information on that?
I can,
please?
yes. So this was reported to full council when the auditor's opinion was received. This was due to an administrative error on the publication notice, which has to be dated the day before the publication starts. It was dated on the same day. So we did meet the requirements of publishing the required information for the right amount of time. There was an error on the date on the form. So that's the reason that needs to be stated no in this year.
Accordingly, no members should agree with this statement and should either disagree or abstain. Can all those who disagree with this statement, please raise their hands. We're voting here to the statement asks for yes or no. Because we have admitted that the statement was incorrect, we have to vote to disagree with that statement or abstain. Yeah.
Everything else is right.
Everything else is right, but that is wrong.
You have to disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can all those who disagree please raise their hands?
That's 14 disagree,
And abstain?
3 abstentions.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I just add something in? You're not voting, so the numbers don't actually add up because you're not being put down as an abstention. And I'd hate to think this wasn't correct if that's the case.
Often we have 4 votes, so we have normally 4 against, abstain, and no vote. So where the mayor or the chairman in other committees don't vote for something, they're recorded in the minutes as a complete no vote. So that's the way it's handled.
So we've had the vote. In this case, I can confirm that statement 4 has been disapproved.
Yeah.
Right, that's the difficult part of it. Statement 5, we carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and/or external insurance cover where required. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
17 agree.
Any disagree? Any abstentions? No. In that case, I confirm that statement 5 has been approved. Statement 6, we maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
Yeah, that's 17 agree.
Any disagree?
No.
No. Any abstentions?
No.
Right, in that case, I can confirm that statement 6 has been approved. Statement 7, we took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from the internal and external audit. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
That's 17 agree.
Disagree?
None.
Abstentions?
None.
No. In that case, I confirm that statement 7 has been approved. Statement 8, we considered whether any litigation, liabilities or commitments, events or transaction occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
17 agree.
Any disagree?
No.
No. Any abstentions?
No.
In that case, I can confirm that statement 8 has been approved. Statement 9, trust funds including charitable. In our capacity as the sole managing trustee, we discharge their accountability responsibilities for the fund's assets, including financial reporting, and if required, independent examination or audit. Can all those who agree with this statement please raise their hands?
17 agree.
Any disagree?
No.
Abstentions?
No.
Right. In that case, I can confirm that statement 9 has been approved. We now need to vote to authorise that the annual governance statement, based on those responses, be signed by the Mayor and the Town Clerk. Sorry, Keith, I didn't see you.
No problem. I note at the end of the table, it says, please provide explanation of the external auditor on a separate sheet for each no response. Obviously, we've got a no response. I'm sure you've got it in hand, but can you circulate the wording to all councillors? I know you've explained it, but it'd be nice to see what's actually going into the relevant authority.
Yeah, what it will be, it'll be the note from the auditor's opinion from last year, and we'll copy that question. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, we'll try again. Anyone else got any questions? We now need to vote to authorise that the annual governance statement, based on those responses, be signed by the Mayor and the Town Clerk. Can I please have a proposer? Please, seconder, Alison. Okay. Can all those in favour please raise their hands?
For.
All those against?
No against.
Abstentions?
No abstentions.
In that case, I can confirm that the annual governance statement for 24-25 are approved and will be signed by the Town Mayor and the Town Clerk. The final item in this section, item D, is to approve the accounting statements for 24-25 set out on page 15 of the appendix document, with an explanation of variances provided on page 38. Do any councillors have any questions regarding the accounting statements? No. Can we please move to a vote to approve the accounting statements for 24-25 and to authorise that they be signed by myself as chairman of this meeting? Can I please have a proposer and seconder? Proposer Alison, seconder Dan. Okay. So can all those in favour please raise their hands?
For.
Any against?
None against.
Abstentions?
No.
Right. In that case, I can confirm that the accounting statements for 24-25 are approved and will be signed by myself. Thank you. Right, we move on to item 8 on the agenda. It's simply for members to note that Wokingham Borough Council's new constitution, which came into effect from the 1st of June 2025, now includes provisions for questions from parish councils to be presented at meetings of council, executive and other committees, with the exception of planning. The Borough Council have advised that there will be a standing item on all agendas for Wokingham Borough Council meetings, which allows 10 minutes for consideration of questions. These questions must be submitted by the town or parish clerk and must name the person who will ask the question at the meeting. The deadline for submission of general questions is 7 working days before the meeting, and for questions which relate to a specific agenda item, then the head deadline is 2 working days. Officers will be drafting an internal process for consideration as to how such questions might be raised on behalf of the Town Council, which will present it to a future meeting for approval.
Thank you. In that process, could you make sure, because I believe this needs to be enshrined within our standing orders, that there are certain things that you need to consider? We have quite a few, historically, we've always had a lot of dual-hatted people, who are borough councillors and town councillors. The borough councillors already have the opportunity to ask questions. And can I ask officers to just look at whether we should put into the new standing order text something that says councillors who are only town councillors should be given preference, because I think from a democratic point of view, more of us who actually can get an opportunity to go through that process, I think it benefits not only the individual, but also our residents. That will also enable, because borough councillors can only ask one question under their section. This could, I'm not saying anybody would do this, but we don't know who's going to be sitting in these chairs in the future.
Yeah.
Could actually potentially use that as a way of getting a second borough
If I could just say, we'll absolutely consider that. But I think the purpose of that function is that they are questions that would come from the council, so from this council. So I'm guessing that, suggesting that our process will probably be one of approval of what those questions are before they're submitted, rather than being from individual councillors. But
we have, history littered by text in our standing orders which weren't necessarily tight enough, and people of all parties can easily, or in the past, abuse that. So all I'm just saying is, please, can you have a look at that perspective? Thank you.
Of course.
And by the way, you're only going to get 2 questions in the 10 minutes anyway, in the 17 parish and town councils. So the chances of getting them through are going to be pretty minimal, but still we can try. Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Just to sort of reinforce what Kevin said, I think this is quite clear that these are questions coming from the council, and I would think logically that we'd probably want to do it from our 3 main committees, and that they would be vetted through that. It's not a sort of a personal question. And I think, this is a very welcome development from the borough, giving us the opportunity. Certainly in planning, we quite often send questions in and they seem to disappear into the ether. So it would be quite nice to have the opportunity to just stand up and ask those questions. But I think, again, Keith is right, that we're going to have to be careful about the sort of questions we ask and make sure they're sort of focused and kind of answerable. But I sort of welcome it. But I don't think we need to worry too much about individual councillors going off on one. Our process will, pop it through we'll put it through the committees like we do everything else.
Councillor Smith.
It's just so I'm clear on the background, and I do welcome it, by the way, like other councillors have welcomed it. Was it introduced as part of like a legislative update, or was this something introduced by Wokingham Borough Council?
It's something they've introduced. It's part of their new constitution, and one of the things I would say is that they've been taking some steps to involve the towns and parishes in a more active way. Certainly over recent months.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Hawkins has his hand up.
Councillor Hawkins. You have,
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, thanks, David. June, I think you said about planning, it specifically excludes planning on that.
That's unfortunately wrong, yeah.
Just for clarity on that, it excludes question time. There is no 10-minute question time at borough planning meetings. But if the planning committee here had a question that they wished to pose to Woking Borough Council that wasn't addressed to their planning committee, then it would be able to be asked to another suitable executive. It's their planning committee. There will not be the 10 minutes for parish and town questions.
Councillor Taylor.
Just to clarify that then. So I'm guessing that restriction is so that we don't spend our 10 minutes having a moan about somebody's extension, but the sort of questions that we've been raising in planning and community have been a kind of a level up. So we got that really interesting response about the policy around people building small buildings in their back gardens. So at that sort of level, I would hope that they would take those sort of questions and provide us with information, as long as it's nothing to do with an individual planning application. So we're just trying to do our job better.
Councillor Swaddle.
There are no public questions or councillor questions that are planning committee, so therefore no town council or parish council. The committee, I think I would raise a question, the town council could raise a question about planning, is corporate and community overview and scrutiny. That would be the most appropriate venue. Just to remind you all that public questions is 30 minutes, and all of you, except the borough councillors, have that opportunity to put forward a question. You can ask your question online. You don't have to go all the way to Shoot End to ask it. And I believe the town council will also have the opportunity to ask a supplementary, so that once you've got the answer from the chairman of the committee, then you can ask a supplementary for more information.
Has anyone any further questions? No, then we'll move on to item 9 of the agenda. Item 9 is for members to consider a recommendation by the Youth Support Services Task and Finish Working Group to amend the Council's youth strategy to essentially permit the funding of youth activities which take place outside of Woodley, where the funding is being used specifically for Woodley residents to access these. Now, Councillor Gilder, as chair, isn't here this evening. Councillor Edwards or Councillor Firmager, would either of you like to make any comment on that?
Well, I think we felt as a committee that although we had said, sorry. Yes, I think we felt as the youth strategy working group that in the case of services that were provided maybe outside of the boundary but are accessible for Woodley residents, should be given consideration, because we have had some tenders put in from services that provide such services for our young people that we think might be appropriate going forward. So we would like to recommend that you would agree with us on this.
Councillor Firmager.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I kind of endorse what Councillor Edwards has actually said. I'll perhaps add to that, we want to make sure nothing slips through the net as well. So people aren't disadvantaged by the fact that the provider isn't based in Woodley, but it does help Woodley people. So I think that's for the benefit of residents.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
A good example of that is we have some organisations, one of them I think was providing support in schools for reading. They were based outside of the Woodley, but actually they had a number of children in Woodley schools that they were supporting. Their grant, when we provided it to them, was also to employ an additional person to provide additional support for people in Woodley. So in that sort of situation, you can see how it becomes a little bit difficult if we have too tightly worded what we have in our statement. So in those sort of situations, we like to be a little bit flexible, because actually there are a lot of really good third-party organisations dotted around just on the borders or just outside of Woodley, but they are delivering their services to Woodley. So thank you.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a good idea. I do support it. I just think where it says boundary, where funding provides for access to Woodley residents, is a little bit loose, because you could end up with one Woodley resident and you end up by providing quite a large grant. And if you read this as is, you could interpret it that way. Now, I'm not going to suggest any words, because I think it's a difficult one. The sentiments absolutely 100% agree, but we just need to make sure that it's not abused, not by our residents or us, but possibly the organisation.
If I can just say that the principle of that, the organisers of those activities are able to specify where all of those individuals are from, and that would be, and there'd be an approval process for us funding those activities, which would be for Woodley residents. It's just that the activity might be an outward bound course or something else taking place outside Woodley, but for Woodley young people.
Councillor Taylor.
Sorry, I'm just going to reiterate what Kevin said. I mean, if you read the recommendation, it's not about where the organisation is or where the kids are. It's like taking them bowling. And we haven't got a bowling alley in Woodley. So this is what this is. If you read it, it's quite clear.
Anyone else got any questions on this matter? Then I will read out what it says on the agenda, and we'll go to the vote. It is recommended that full council approve amending paragraph 17 of the council's youth strategy to state the council will only fund services which take place within the Woodley Town Council boundary or outside the boundary where funding provides for access for Woodley residents. Can all those in favour please raise your hand?
16 for.
All those against?
None against.
All those abstaining?
One abstention.
Thank you. Right, thank you. Let's pass that recommendation. Item 10 on the agenda is the leader's statement, and I know there isn't a leader's statement this evening. So it seems to be an ideal opportunity that following the death of Colin Lawley, that we as a council take a minute's silence in memory. Right. Thank you. Right, we move on to item 11A, which is to receive the written reports from Town Council representatives on the outside bodies, as set out in Appendix 11 on page 41 of the agenda. There is also an additional one from Councillor Smith on Sonnyland District Welfare and Educational Trust. There's one missing for me, reason being the meeting doesn't take place for another 2 days. That's the Robert Palmer Almshouses. Do we have any questions at all regarding these? Councillor Durham. Oh,
Just to say that there hasn't been a report from the Museum of Berkshire Aviation. There hasn't been a meeting that I've been notified of. So I don't know why. I think you were going to check into.
Yeah.
Councillor Durham.
It's just about the report from the Pawsland charity. It's autocorrect, I think. Well, I think it is, saying that it's Pauline's charity on the last paragraph. And I just wonder if it could be amended before it goes into the archives, please.
Sorry, Carol, you said the last paragraph. You're talking about the one from Sheila Flower?
On page 4. It's the last statement on page 47, and it's the first line that has auto-corrected to Pauline's charity rather than Pawsland. Yeah, we'll get that changed.
Yeah. Thank you. Right, moving on to item B. It is to consider appointing a town council representative to the allotments tenants committee. Do we have any nominations for this position? Keith, go to you first.
I'd like to nominate Castor. He's eager to get his hands dirty.
Do we have a seconder for that? Do we have any other nominations? Can we go for the vote? All those in favour of Castor being appointed?
17-4.
Right, no need to say against or abstentions. Thank you, then you're duly appointed to that committee, Castor. Thank you. Moving on swiftly, we come to the town mayor's engagements. Full list of them are set out on page 12, page 49 of the agenda. They're all quite straightforward, all very enjoyable events. The last one, I don't know whether you saw, Carol, but I slipped down the stairs. But I was caught at the bottom, thankfully. And I hadn't even had a glass of wine either. Yes, yeah.
Is there a video?
I hope not. But all of those, I mean, some of them actually required a couple of visits in the morning and afternoon. I mean, the carnival football competition was brilliant. The girls in the morning were magnificent, the way they played. And there were 12 schools there, I think for the girls. And it's nice to see them taking such a keen interest on football. In the afternoon, it was the boys' competition. Again, some absolutely magnificent players. But no, nothing else really to say on that, unless someone has a question for me. Darren.
Yeah, I just want to say you've done a great job and well done for that. David does a very good Facebook page for Woodley Town Mayor, which if any of you haven't seen it, look it up because it's actually quite good. There you will find pictures and some good little stories in there. Yeah, have a look at it. I'd encourage that. Thank you.
Yeah. I will go on to that. When I was appointed to this position, I thought it was a golden opportunity to let Woodley residents know the workings of the town council and what the mayor actually does. So I'm trying desperately hard to highlight all the events that I go out on and others that I don't go out on. It is on Facebook. It's titled Woodley Town Mayor. If you go on there and follow it, I would be grateful because it gives you an opportunity to see in more detail what I do, coupled with some photographs. Comments are welcome on there. But I do state on that site, please don't make them of a political nature. It's against the reasons for the website or the Facebook page. And if you can share it with anyone else, I would be immensely grateful. Thank you. Right, moving on to item 13 on the agenda. Future agenda items. Does anyone have any items that they wish to be included in a future agenda? Beth.
Thank you, Chairman. Oh, press the wrong button. I wonder if we have any intention of discussing the new rules that the government have brought out regarding attendance in person at meetings and how that could work for us. The Borough Council are looking at it, and I suggest that we do. We have two councillors who don't live locally. It would save them some travelling sometimes. And for me, last year, I was unable to attend for quite a time. I'd had 2 eye operations, so wasn't allowed to drive. Not that it would have been any worse than normal, I don't think. But there you go. Can we put it as an agenda item on one of our committees? But I don't know which one. Oh, okay. Standing orders. Thanks, Keith. Ought we to discuss it first?
Can I just chip something in? It's still going through through the legal process at the moment through central government, so there will be some guidance issued as that moves forward. But I'll need to check exactly where that is, and I can provide an update on that. That'd be helpful.
Could I just make another point? We've got new microphones for us, but I forgot to put my hearing aids on tonight, so they're absolutely no good to me at all, especially when they're over there and you're over here. I don't know what they're like online, and if you stand up, you're further away from them. So I know it's been our tradition to stand, but perhaps with the microphone close, it isn't needed to help people online hear better.
Could we ask Councillor Hawkins to let us know how good it is online?
Yes. Can you hear everything going on, Councillor Hawkins?
Yeah, hi. Yes, thanks, David, Mayor. Yeah, the sound is much better, but as Beth just said, when Bill stood up to give the planning, his voice drifted off because he's moved away from the microphone. So tonight it's been really good. But what I am aware of, I think
There's a moral behind this.
there's quite a delay.
Yeah. When you go anywhere, please take your microphone.
There's quite a delay between me speaking and then you speaking. You see, there is. It's like having a transatlantic delay, which we didn't used to have on the old system. However, I'd rather have a delay, so long as you're aware that there's a pause from when you say for me to speak and you actually hearing me, because it's much better to hear you and have a delay than not hear you at all.
Right. But we'll get that.
Yeah, I would say we're still testing it. This is the third meeting we've had it, and the first one in this room. So we're trying it out with how it works with the microphones left on all the time at different meetings to see how that works. Some of
it's a long way away from your mouth.
yeah, actually, there's no amplification in the room for that microphone. So that will be picking up for the online, for the recording and for the stream, but not for the in-room audio, which would be using the units for hard of hearing and people with hearing impairment.
That's no good at all then.
We do have the means of putting it through the sound system. That's just not how it's set up at the moment. So we're just still trying it to see exactly the best way to work it in the different rooms.
Councillor Edwards.
Yes, just as a follow-up from Councillor Smith's earlier question regarding the lease documents from Reading, and in the hope that by the next meeting we will have had something, would it be possible to consider what are the next steps to progress our request for improvements to Weeble Park play area as a future agenda item?
Councillor Smith.
Yes. I think we can, I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Reading Borough Council. It's not high on their priority, I don't think. I think we've got, town clerk was telling me, another 3 years to go or something like that. So, but it doesn't stop us, I don't think, maybe starting to get some quotes in and what have you. I'm mindful of the other priorities that the town clerk and his team have, but yeah, I think we can make a start on that. So that's just yes.
Councillor Ben.
Thank you. I'd like to initially talk about what Beth says. At the planning meeting, the last planning meeting, you were on the green, and I specifically asked you at the time,
yeah.
Is it okay? And you said it was okay.
I did.
Okay. So secondly, this moves. So if you want it closer, you can do it as well. It'll move. The third point, the standing orders, the process we have historically used for years and years and years is we have a subcommittee that review recommendations for changes to the standing orders. That group, which has representations, I think you're on, not you personally, make a recommendation that then comes to SNR. And so SNR would be the ability. Does it then have to come to full council afterwards? I think it does, doesn't it? Yep. So there's 3 bites of the cherry. There's the 3 people to do a filter and change words or whatever. There's then the SNR committee, and then there's here as well. So that is the process. So it will be debated. It's going to be interesting to see what the government ends up by actually passing through the bill. It's very nice of you to think of me travelling here, but I've made a commitment. I will be here for every committee meeting that I need to attend unless I'm not in the country or I've got a family matter. But I thank you for the concern.
It was climate change as well, Keith, not just you.
And then the final thing is nothing. I would like an additional future agenda item, a permanent one. Those of you who've been monitoring what's been going on, Anushka now is using our newfound freedom to actually do some of the, what I call the higher level stuff, PR work, that she hasn't been able to do in the past. And that's great. And I know she's thoroughly enjoying that freedom. And you've seen the press releases. You know, I think we've had more press releases in the last few months than we probably had for the last year. Not because Anusha wasn't doing her job, but she was tied up with other things. Since we're now getting those press releases out on a regular basis, could we have a list, in the same way the mayor's engagement, of the press releases that have gone out? No more than that, just to highlight the good work that she's doing. Thank you.
Chester.
Hear me? Before closing. It's just to reiterate what Councillor Edwards has said about Weeble Park. I just wondered if about 2 years ago we did a report on costs with Playdale, and they came out and gave us an idea of what costs would be to improve the park. Would it be helpful if I sent a report to all the councillors so they can look at that to more form part of their investigations and budgets for the park? That'd be helpful.
Can I just say that there would be a formal way of doing that and obtaining prices and going through that process. So obviously, if charged to do that, we will do that.
So yes, we'd like to see that report or not. No?
Just send it.
Just send it. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that.
Just send it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Then we'll move on to item 14, publicity and website. Does anyone have any items they wish to be publicised? Councillor Jewell.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure if it has appeared on the town council, so apologies for not checking. We had a very successful stand or stall next to the town councils for the walking and cycling working group, which we had a lot of people getting involved, residents involved, and there are some photographs that were taken, and I just think it would be a good news story if that was out on the website.
Yeah, I can just say that we received the information through today with the pictures and everything. So I've sent that on to Anushka and asked if she'll liaise with June as chairman of the committee to pull something together for that.
Anyone, anything else? Yeah. Right, so at 9:12 p.m, I call this meeting to a close. Thank you everyone for attending.